Welcome to Diablo Magazine's first episode of East Bay Eats. My name is Ethan Fletcher. I'm food editor with Diablo Magazine. And with this live food series, we're taking a look at the East Bay food and dining scene, one city at a time. And today we're digging into San Ramon. So I just, before we get going, I'd like to just point out that East Bay Eats is generously sponsored by Xfinity, and thanks so much to them. And make sure to stick around till the end because we're actually giving away a $150 gift certificate to the Slanted Door, courtesy of Xfinity, and that's going to be at the end of this episode after a cooking demo from Slanted Door San Ramon chef Dong Choi. And that, I believe, can be used in any of Slanted Door's restaurants, either in San Francisco, here, or I believe Las Vegas. Is that?
Yes.
So that's what I'd do if I were you. So again, many thanks to Xfinity, and let's just take a moment to learn a little bit more about our generous sponsor. Hi, we're back. That was great. So thanks again to Xfinity, and make sure to stick around till the end of the show for that $150 gift card courtesy of them. And let's see, you can check out the latest from Xfinity at one of their 4 East Bay stores in Concord, Dublin, Brentwood, and Emeryville. So East Bay Eats, it's an offshoot of Diablo Magazine's City series, in which the crack Diablo editorial team, of which I'm a part of, takes a deep dive into some of the local communities that we all know and love in the East Bay. And here with East Bay Eats, we're sort of trying to do the same thing, but through a food lens. So in this April's issue, Diablo featured the city of San Ramon, which is why we're here live at the Slanted Door San Ramon, which is inside the city center, which is a beautiful shopping complex designed by the world-renowned starchitect Renzo Piano, and which opened about 3 years ago. It's just a beautiful facility and kind of provided a downtown to a big city that didn't really have one. So in our city series, you can check it out on diablomag.com. But the feature mentions several San Ramon restaurants, including one of special significance to the city, and that's the Brass Door. And Brass Door opened in 1646 when San Ramon's population was about 100 and served primarily local ranchers and cattlemen and travelers. And amazingly, the Brass Door remains open and still serving its trademark prime rib, baked potato, and cream spinach to this day. It's a sort of a living testament to the city's rural agricultural ranching roots. But as you can see, if you live around here, things have changed quite a bit over the last few decades, and that's kind of perfectly exemplified in San Ramon's restaurant scene, where you can now get everything from Seafood Benedict at Clementine's to homemade risotto at Gianni's to a Thai curry at Andaman to bibimbap at Brothers Kitchen. And here at Bishop Ranch City Center, much of that diversity is also on display, sort of in a more fine dining setting, and whether that's the sustainable sushi at Bamboo or the craft beer at Fieldwork, the samosas at Curry Up Now, and the nationally acclaimed modern Vietnamese at Slanted Door, where we are today. So I'll take that cue to introduce Chef Dong Choi, who's the chef de cuisine at Slanted Door San Ramon.
Hi,
Welcome, Chef. How you doing?
Great to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having us. So I'll start with a question. What exactly is chef de cuisine? What does that entail?
Chef de cuisine is basically in charge of the kitchen, of the food. And in my role here at the Slanted Door, it allows a chef like Charles, our owner and chef, to be doesn't have to be here for the day-to-day operations. It allows me to run with our GM and coordinate that kind of vision as a restaurant as a whole, whether it's the back, the front, being able to say hello to a guest, cook their food, the whole thing. So it doesn't encapsulate just cooking on the line, it encapsulates of kind of having a sense of owning the whole restaurant. But yeah, my primary focus is the food and the kitchen and the staff.
Great. And how did you get involved with this project in particular? Maybe you can tell us a little bit about Slanted Door and kind of its significance in the Bay Area, and then this kind of offshoot.
Well, I mean, you know, I've been with the Slanted Door for going on 5 years now, and it's gone by really quickly. But Obviously the Slanted Door is iconic to the Bay Area, and Charles' vision for what modern Vietnamese Asian cooking overall to this area has influenced, I think, countless chefs in the Bay and across the nation. And so with this project, it being the first ever Slanted Door outside of our core San Francisco, I think for Charles, it was really that initial attraction to the Morans and the city center, Bishop Ranch's vision of bringing, like you said, a kind of a downtown feel to this, you know, real city and the suburbs. And so for us to come out here and have a Slanted Door with Renzo pianos, architecture, Charles being a student of architecture and design, I think, yes, so I think those are naturally attracted him. And then the opportunity to kind of bring what we do there to here and service all our guests on the other side of the bridge that were making that trek anyway, to now have an opportunity here has been fantastic.
Great. And I did notice, first thing you kind of notice when you're driving into the city center is an enormous billboard of Charles Finn.
Yes,
Your boss looking down at you.
Yeah, every day you come in, you just, you know, you see his face and you're like, oh, hi, boss.
Does that make you nervous, inspire you a little bit?
No, it's inspirational, you know, the Fon family and what Charles has been able to do and continue to sustain, especially during these crazy times, is really inspirational. And to be a part of that, to be a leader and part of kind of continuing to push that forward it's a great honor, and it's something we don't take lightly. But it's most certainly like just motivation to keep doing it. We have a great team, and so yeah, it's real fun every day.
And a beautiful space here too.
Oh yeah, the space is, you know, we really called it, you know, it's beautiful. We're in a glass box. We like to call it our little fishbowl because you can see everything from outside. Yeah. But everything from, you know, obviously from Ole Lundberg's design, which him and Charles have collaborated with all the restaurants, and with the flooring and the kitchen equipment. Everything is really just, every single thing was really thought out to try to mirror and capture what we do at the Ferry Building, but also have it new and be meaningful and unique to this experience. Yeah,
along those lines, I know you told me sort of offline that you know, it's important for you to have this Slanted Door be connected to San Ramon and not just be sort of, you know, a copy of Slanted Door. And I think part of that, you said, is you're involved in the farmers market next door, right?
Yes. You know, one of the things that the Ferry Building location has always had, and has been very fortunate to have, is obviously the amazing Ferry Market, farmers market, right outside its doorstep. And so here we've been really fortunate, since we opened. The farmers market used to be off-site from here, and through just speaking with the director of the market and our relationship with the city center, we're like, you know, it would be great to have it here. And I think that was something in the works. And so now being able to have it right outside your back door, as a chef, you know, we often, you hear that buzzword market driven and things like that, but we really are Charles's vision for the food, and when we talk about where we want the menu to go, it really is market driven. We're there, we're supporting the farmers, we're seeing what's coming into season, and that really influences the menu as a whole. Yeah, and you actually have a little kiosk at the farmers market. Yes, we do. Right? And so, you know, with COVID shut down, and us trying to figure out how to get those kind of bites, you know, we have the iconic out the door at the Ferry Building in our location on Bush Street. And there are a lot of things that were kind of grab and go, and small bites are steam buns and spring rolls and turnip cake and salads that are quick, real easy grabs. We do a little kiosk there. It does extremely well. Community loves it, and it's just another avenue for us to represent the market and help support the market. That's great. Yeah. Well, along those lines, we actually went a couple Saturdays ago and checked out the San Ramon Farmers Market, which is really just kind of a wonderland of food and produce. And the awesome director there, head of the farmers market, Harv Singh, gave us a tour, and we talked to some vendors. And so we'd just like to show that video right now. Hi, here we are at the San Ramon Farmers Market. It's Saturday morning. This is a weekly market, and with me is Harv Singh. Welcome, Harv. He's the head of the market, and kind of this is his baby, basically. He's been running it, and it's his passion project. So tell me a little bit about the market. When does it run? How many vendors do you have here? Sure. Yeah.
So we operate weekly every Saturday here at City Center Bishop Ranch. We're open year-round from 9 to 1. Rain or shine, we're open. And then this is a new location for us. This is our second year at this new City Center location. Yeah. It's been great. It's been really allowed us to curate everything that you would expect to find at a farmer's market, from food producers to gourmet street foods to the best quality local organic seasonal produce. We have a little bit of everything. So we have the dosa truck, we have the momo truck, Indo-Chinese. We have this authentic chicken biryani, dum biryani, which is Hyderabadi style, that's reflective of traditional foods cooked in that region. It's wonderful. It's my most favorite thing to do.
Yeah, and I mean, I've been walking around and talking to people, and it's each person has a story, right? And that's the beauty of the farmers market, is you get to talk to people who are running their businesses right up, one-on-one, and each person has a great story about how they started the business. That must be a nice aspect of running the farmers market.
That's the wonderful thing is the connections that you make at farmers markets. Often they are the owners, they are the ranchers, they are the farmers, they are the small business owners, and you get to help and support them.
Yeah. Let's meet a few of the vendors here at the market and hear their stories. Rendo, thanks for joining us. We're here in front of your truck, which I hear is very popular. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got started?
We got started with the truck in June of last year. Okay. We started at the farmers market. Our initial plan was to actually do afternoons in front of office spaces. And the whole COVID thing hit.
Yes.
And we had to reimagine ourselves and reinvent, and we decided to start in the San Ramon farmers market. My dream was always to start something in food, and we used to do dosas for our friends at our house, and then I wanted to bring some authentic dosa.
Each week they would attract like hundreds, I kid you not when I say hundreds of people from all over the Bay Area would literally line up, and the lines would go around the corner to experience this authentic dosa. And what makes it so unique is the care and the authentic approach they take into creating the dosa.
Initially, we had 5 different types of dosas that we were making, with the onion filling and potato filling separately, cheese and all that. But then once we got started with the truck, we found out that it was basically the one with the curried potato onion filling is the one that's our signature dish. Additional side basically is a coconut cilantro chutney. It's little spicy, but not too spicy. That's a signature dip that goes along with it. It's a chutney. And the other one is actually called sambar, and that's again onion and lentils. It's more like a onion soup. It's a family-run business. It's our entire thing is the passion that we have to make this dish. Here, I can see the smile on somebody's face when they bite into it right there.
I'm here in front of PT Ranch at the San Ramon Farmers Market. I'm here with Molly Taylor. You have an interesting background for PT Ranch. Can you tell me about how you got into the ranch and meat game?
Yeah, I was actually going to college in New York, and I studied urban studies there, but didn't really find work in the city very fulfilling. So I ended up coming back to my grandparents' ranch, which had been leased out to a commercial cow-calf operation for over 40 years.
We looked all over the place, and we found Molly at PT Ranch, and she was looking for a Saturday market, and I thought, awesome, let's bring you in here. And I think Molly is sort of like this next generation of ranchers that are coming back to the land and taking it over and doing something that's not necessarily new, but kind of going back to the old way.
All of our animals are raised on pasture, so they have access to forage. We rotate them frequently, which ensures that we are protecting and enhancing soil health as much as possible. But it's going well. I think people are waking up to the fact that meat can be quite harmful both to the the animals that we eat, but also the environment. And this is offering like a really great alternative if people really start to actually study the science behind regenerative meat products. They're actually can be climate beneficial.
Wow.
We sell pastured pork, pastured poultry, and we also have lamb on our property.
Lamb. Okay, great.
Yeah.
And you're doing a few other products as well, from what I understand.
Right. We do have lavender. My mom's a beekeeper, so we have honey,
Oh, really?
and then
Okay.
we have a small amount of olive oil every fall. It's all great. I think both the pork and the chicken really stands out as if you have not had a pastured pork or chicken product before, you can really taste the difference.
Really? Okay. Here we are in front of Scoop and Wubby, which is a new bakery that just came into the farmers market. Harv, can you tell me a little bit about this baking company?
Sure. This was business stemmed out of the pandemic, and Amir and his son and his family, Wubby, his little daughter, just inspired the name of the business, but it was more born out of the pandemic, and they started a cookie company and at home. And so you'll meet Amir today and his son, Scoop, and this was one of the businesses that sort of is a success here at the market.
Yes, a little small cottage food operation out here in San Ramon. Making some of the best quality cookies you'll find anywhere, and locally based right here out of San Ramon, here every Saturday at the San Ramon Farmers Market for you.
And this is kind of a passion project for you. You said you grew up cooking. Your mom taught you?
Yeah. So my mom really instilled in us boys and stuff like that that she wanted us to be able to be good cooks. I really liked baking. My mom loved for me to make her lemon squares when I was younger.
Yeah.
But I really used to make chocolate chip cookies, all different types of flavors when I was younger. But as I got older, I really started to focus on my career and doing other things.
Right.
But as the pandemic hit, really, I started to look at, hey, what's something I can do that I'm passionate about and I enjoy? And baking was one of the things that was really, really passionate for me. What better name to use than the nicknames of my two kids, my son and my daughter. But it's been great. Started at 80 cookies all the way up to about 350 to 400 a week. And we're selling out pretty much every single weekend. So we have about 10 different flavors that we offer right now. My probably my two most popular here at the San Ramon Farmers Market are the Three Brothers. Is a brown butter, milk chocolate, pecan, and flaky sea salt cookie.
Wow, that sounds good.
So yeah, I say it's a very adult cookie because you definitely have to understand all the complexity of flavor. And then the Funny Story cookie. It's a milk chocolate toffee cookie with crumpled toffee on top. And then obviously the Scoop, which is like the one named after my son. It's like a classic chocolate. It's a classic chocolate chip, but with a twist, with it's chunks of chocolate instead of like regular chocolate chips.
Yeah.
So it gives you little ripples of chocolate all throughout the cookie. And then the Wubby is the other signature flavor as well. It's a semi-sweet chocolate, walnut, oatmeal, cinnamon with a little bit of lemon.
Wow.
So my daughter has autism, so like kind of the complexity behind a child with autism and all those different things that go into it.
Wow.
I think that cookie kind of speaks to her. And I use local brand products. So I use Challenge Butter, which is a local brand right here out of Dublin. Ghirardelli, which is a Bay Area based brand, so I only use Ghirardelli chocolate in every single one of my cookies. And then also Diamond brand nuts and everything as well, which is based out of Stockton and everything as well.
Yeah.
So you can go to a www.scoop.com and you can place an order. I do local delivery anywhere in San Ramon, Dublin, and Danville, and anywhere in the Bay Area for only $5. And then we do also ship nationwide.
Thanks everybody for tuning in. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
And please do come visit us.
Yeah, come visit.
Really...
There's some good stuff here. Oh, okay, we're back. Welcome back. Thanks again to Harv Singh, the wonderful director of the Farmers Market there, for guiding us around, and to all the vendors for sharing their stories. So I'm going to put on my apron. Thanks to Karen Achondo, Emily's mom, for making these beautiful aprons, which we will wear with pride. And so, Chef Choi, why don't you guide us through what you're making for us today and why?
Okay, so today it's springtime, and so we're going to be focused on some ingredients that we buy from the farmers market right outside our door in San Ramon, and also in other parts of the East Bay, and then talk about we're going to do a poached wild Alaskan halibut with some springtime vegetables and a kind of a wild mushroom broth. And we're going to kind of dig into a dish that I really call kind of deceptively simple, which is the way we like to cook here at the restaurant, kind of putting all that work into the dish, and then the end product, there's nothing. It's very clear what you're getting and eating, and so that's what we're going to kind of walk through today.
But there's a lot of prep that goes into it.
Yes,
right?
there can be as much as you would like.
Right.
That's really the key here.
Okay, so let's go through the ingredients. First, the fish. Is that actually seasonal?
Yes. So right here we have 2 beautiful, roughly ½ pound, 8-ounce, 9-ounce pieces of a wild Alaskan halibut, and the wild Alaskan halibut. True wild Alaskan halibut that's line caught or trawl caught from Alaska runs in the spring. That's when the fish are that prime size for eating, cooking. They can go really, really huge.
Yeah.
And so we're lucky enough to get this again, just in the vein of supporting local, is from Jimmy over at Gulffish, who has been a partner and vendor with Chef Charles. We were one of his first customers when he really is pioneer bringing wild Gulf American shrimp and the Gulf seafood into the Bay Area, and now he's expanded and he offers amazing stuff. He takes care of us. We get the beautiful fish from him.
That's great, and that's that's sort of a white, flaky fish.
Yes,
but you can substitute for that.
It's most certainly a luxury.
Yeah,
it's a great item. It's really to celebrate spring. It's to celebrate this fish. But any kind of flaky white fish will do. Local California halibut. It's a little thinner. It's a different species of fish. It can do well. You just have to be careful not to dry it out because even though we're cooking in a liquid, as anyone knows, you could boil a chicken and that'll be the driest piece of chicken you ever had. So, but really any kind of white, kind of flaky fish would do well with this. So you don't have to use this. We're just using it for the spring.
And I'm just going to jump in just to let everybody know who might be stressing out at home about making this. We're going to put this video online on DiabloMag.com and our City Series San Ramon feature, so you can find it there afterwards anytime. And also, Chef Choi is going to provide us with a written recipe that we'll send out to everybody afterwards.
Yes.
So, great. So, go ahead.
So just going down the line, these are just some simple cellophane noodles. You can find at any good Asian market. If you have a really good Safeway or Whole Foods next to you, check their pantry section. You might be able to find a couple small packets. And this has just been simply hydrated.
Just a little 10 minutes.
Yeah, just boiling hot water. Let it sit on there for about 10 minutes. Strain it out, drain it, and then you end up with this. And you can do a variety of things with that. It's springtime. It's asparagus. Yeah. In the Bay Area, if you're lucky enough to get Roscoe Zuckerman's asparagus, which we have here from the Pleasanton Farmers Market, get it. It's a short season. Support him. These are jumbos. They're huge. They've been peeled, and then we just cut them to a more of a serving size that's going to cook in our clay pot vessel. But if any asparagus will work. Small, thin, medium size. Eat one. I would recommend just eat one raw.
Just eat it raw, right?
And how's the skin feel to you? Does it feel really tough? Peel it. If it's okay to you, doesn't need to be peeled. Okay. Real simple.
And you're telling me that, I mean, a lot of people sort of in vogue is to get the skinny ones, but the thicker ones actually have a lot of flavor.
Yes, the thicker ones have they lend themselves, like these grilled versus the thinner ones. Yeah. When you eat them, it's almost like an explosion of juice and flavor. So the thick ones are great. The thin ones are great too. But these, especially the way we're going to be cooking them, they're almost like an act like a sponge that keeps their own flavor, but kind of just sucks in everything else around it. So it's great for this dish. Cool. We have, obviously, it's a wild mushroom dish. So we have a selection of wild and cultivated mushrooms that we get from our friends at King of Mushroom as well. So these are just foraged yellowfoots that are in season that are coming just north of Sacramento. Some cultivated shiitakes, and these are actually hen of the woods that are foraged. But more readily available is a cultivated maitake, the Japanese name for it. It's kind of the accepted name for it versus the American hen of the woods. They're slightly different, but they can be easily interchanged. And again, you don't have to do wild mushrooms. Right. If what you have are some great little shiitakes or some creminis or even button mushrooms at your local grocery store, I encourage you to use those. Play with a couple different combinations that you like, but it could just be one. Right. It's no problem.
And when you use the wild mushrooms, they have a little bit of a sort of a gamier taste or richer taste.
A wild product is always going to have a flavor unique to that. Right. But the not to knock the cultivated stuff, they're very consistent. Yes. And they give you that kind of mushroom flavor we've all come accustomed to. So a kind of a little bit of both there. Okay, great. And then I want to talk about these a couple next items. We have some kind of loose green veggies here. We have, so these are that we're getting from a local farmer here outside our door in San Ramon. These are Tokyo turnips or Haruke turnips. And we're getting some from him at Chong Farms our farmer Sai at Chong Farms.
Okay.
And these are also a beautiful baby Shanghai bok choy that he's growing for us. And he's a first generation farmer, and we just love his stuff. You can really taste the sun in it, if that's even a thing. But just to describe it from buying at the market, from getting something that's never been in refrigeration, it's a game changer for produce like this. And for us to be able to have that relationship with them and say, hey, you know, we would love it if it could be a certain size or certain life cycle in its growth. And he really absorbs that and says, hey, what do you think about this? So it's been an ongoing conversation. They're so sweet and tender, you could eat them raw in a salad.
Really? Yeah.
We stir fry them. These are just going to be lightly poached, and they're easily clean.
Do you cut? Oh, you
yeah,
just
so
okay,
really easily clean. A lot of times, the bigger ones that you get from the market have a lot of dirt, so I really recommend that you wash them. But just a little nip on the end, a little tough on that root section, and it just falls apart.
Just breaks apart.
And you can break it, and then if you have a little heart here, we just like to split it right in half.
Okay.
And then you basically have all same pieces, and that's what we've done here for the dish as well.
Great.
So that's and then the turnip. These turnips are great, and when they're not available, we easily substitute daikon.
Okay.
But you could do a radish or a French breakfast radish, but they tend to be a little spicy, and these are unique in the sense that they have that deep crunch, but a sweetness to them.
A little bit of sweetness.
Yes,
right?
and a great product that you don't want to throw away is the tops. And just like carrots or any kind of real root vegetable that has a leafy green that you can eat. You want to keep that top on there as long as possible when you're storing it.
So that keeps it fresh.
So it keeps the bottoms fresh.
Okay.
And so, what we do is we just cut the tops off, and if they're nice and fresh, we'll just put them here and give them a quick wash.
Great.
And then we just give it a quick peel. A Y-shaped peeler, side peeler, whatever you have at home. You can do this with a small knife. And you just peel it. It's a real thin skin.
Yep.
Cut that root end off. And then I like to cut a little bit and leave a little bit of that stem because it's nice and green. This part is really the only part you would compost.
And what do you do with the leaves or the stems?
So these are going to go into the broth as well.
Oh,
they're so
okay,
gentle. They'll add their own flavor and uniqueness. If you didn't, you could easily set that aside and chop that up and put it into a salad for a spicy bite.
And that has a little bit more different flavor than the.
It does. It has more of a it's less obviously juicy.
Yeah.
And it gives it a little bit of that spice that turnips and radishes are looking for. And all I'm doing here is just taking a small paring knife, and any cook that's ever worked in a kitchen knows that this is one of the things that it's just part of it.
Yeah.
And you really want to clean all the dirt that's on top of it because these things live in the dirt. So you want them to be clean.
Can you show everybody your little paring knife?
Yeah. So this a little French knife that I've had for many years.
Wonderful. Yeah.
And but any small knife or any small tool that you can just get in there. And then again, if you're just cutting it in half, and then taking that half and cutting it in half again and quarter. And if you have larger ones, you can cut them into 6. And the key is really with all the cuts and the different veg, they're all roughly the same size.
Okay, right.
So that will allow, when we're doing a one-pot cooking like this, everything to cook evenly and at the same time.
Great.
So, I've done that here a little bit in advance.
So that's, it's not necessarily how you cut it it's more the size.
It doesn't have to be a French perfect brunoise or, like all these different French names that you had to go on to culinary school to cut, or even a real fancy cut. The key is that it's just a clean cut, and they're all approximately the same size when you're doing any kind of cooking where you need everything to be ready in advance.
That makes sense. Okay, great. And what are these little these?
So then these are just kind of the last elements to the dish. We have a little bit of fine sea salt for seasoning the fish, and I would stay away from your large flaky kind of finishing salt. Use that for your nice, vegetables or nice pieces of meat.
Yeah.
And then here we just have some simple black pepper that here at the restaurant we toast and then grind in a mortar and pestle.
Okay.
We don't really use a pepper grinder here, but most certainly any kind of fresh pepper would work.
Do you find the toasting brings out a little bit more spice and flavor?
For sure. I think it's one of those things that is such a low effort, but it yields so much of a different product. Right before you do it, it really brings out the fruity characteristics of the peppercorn.
And how long do you will you
literally just in a dry pan until you can slice it?
Okay.
And then let it cool down, and then put it in your pepper mill and grind it.
Oh, right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Or if you have a mortar and pestle or your spice grinder or whatever you're using to break it down.
Yeah. Okay.
And then lastly, just as a finishing, we have a bit of aroma. This also coming from Chong Farms. This is a little bit of raram, which is a Vietnamese coriander leaf.
Okay.
Very different than cilantro. but I would say it has that same characteristics of cilantro.
Okay.
Really delicate.
Yeah.
We use it, but it just kind of has. It's a little more pungent, and less, I'd say, flowery and more of a stronger green herb flavor.
And that's kind of for fragrance.
And it's just for the aroma, and
yeah.
it complements all the elements. And then lastly, just a few scallion bottoms.
Okay.
That we've just sliced real thin.
Great.
And you can slice them however you need. For that little bit of onion hit that's always welcomed in a dish like this.
Great. I guess before we get going, show us the clay pot. I mean, this is a one-pot meal, right?
A one-pot meal. So I'm going to bring out a bunch of them.
Okay.
So we have our beautiful clay pot here, and this is just, you know, a custom one that Charles had that has cooked many loving meals. And again, a part of this dish is the fact that he loves stews and I love stews. But how do you do a stewed dish in the spring? It's not the first thing that, you know, pops into your mind.
Right, absolutely.
And so, you know, that's a clay pot. You know, we have everything from, we have a consuelo here that we've got from the Spanish table in Berkeley.
Oh, interesting.
$5
okay.
or $6.
So same concept. Doesn't have to be
same
Asian
thing.
necessarily.
It could be. We also have a couple more back here that are. This is a Japanese one, also known as a donabi in Japanese. But again, it's just a clay pot.
Yeah.
This one is a brand new one, and then this one is one we've cooked 1,000 clay pot chickens in at the restaurant.
Looks like it, yeah.
But again, brand new, $20.
Really?
You know?
That's
Yeah,
it?
$20.
Okay.
So really a very low cost investment to a new style of cooking that is just so readily accessible for people. You know, you cook rice in these things, you can cook any kind of stewed item.
Yeah.
We're gonna do our poached dish in it. The key to this is when you get them brand new, any of them, you want to soak them in water for at least 24 hours, completely submerged, because you want them to fully hydrate. If you just put them straight on the heat, they'll crack.
Interesting.
And
okay,
then they're gone.
So
that water kind of cures them a little bit. I've heard people doing it in oil, but I don't really know about that yet. Yeah, a little water goes a long way.
Okay. And where would you get these? Or
you know, these you can get from any good restaurant supply store, online, Amazon even.
Right.
There's a couple really small, great restaurant supply stores in Richmond, and so that we pick up a lot of stuff from. But any good restaurant supply store will have clay pots. Okay.
Now, just before you get started, if you don't have a clay pot, what can you do?
If you don't have a clay pot, a saucepan. Anything with a lid that you can cover.
Okay.
You could even, if in a pinch, you could do it in a kind of a deeper, straight-sided saute pan, which a lot of people have at home. Or in a pinch, you could do it over a fry pan if you needed to. Add enough liquid.
Yeah.
You won't be able to add everything you need, but you'll just add a little bit more. Any kind of flat, open bottom vessel. The beauty of a clay pot versus those things are, you know, like tagine or anything kind of earthenware, clay, ceramic fired is. It kind of controls the evaporative process a little bit better.
Right.
It allows us the right amount of moisture to escape, keeps the right amount of aroma in that you won't necessarily get with, you know, stainless steel or metal in that sense. So I encourage everyone to try the clay pot. And it's a real low cost investment to your kitchen kit.
Yeah, great. All right, we're ready to get started. Should
let's get started. So.
Which clay pot are you going to use?
So we're going to use this one. So this size would be great for, let's say, if you were just doing a single serving. But because at the Slanted Door, our style of service is family style.
Yes.
You know, we're going to do 2 pieces of fish in there, and it's not going to be the star of the meal per se. It'll just be another thing on the table that you eat with rice and vegetables, so everyone can have like a nice piece of fish or a little bite of broth if they want.
You can scoop out what you want.
Exactly. You're not. It's just not your traditional meal where we're just having a big thing of fish and that's what everyone gets.
I found that doesn't work with kids.
Yeah, you know, and it can be a little intimidating with the fish. So another thing with the clay pot, it doesn't like a ton of high heat blasted on it. So I would recommend that you just keep it on kind of a low heat. A low, medium, low heat, and that's what it really likes to do.
And you usually heat it up a little bit before you add the ingredients.
Yes, you want to kind of preheat it just a touch to kind of get it ready. You don't want to put it like if it was ice cold and you put it directly on the heat, that thermal shock's going to crack.
It's going to crack it.
Yes. So we'll just start with seasoning our fish a little bit.
And this is the fine.
And this is just the fine sea salt.
And it's the fine that makes it more of a seasoning salt,
right?
Versus finishing is usually
you most certainly
bigger flakes.
You could finish with it. It's just bigger flakes are they dissolve a little bit differently. and it's more of an accent versus a seasoning.
Yep.
So I would encourage you to play with. I mean, we're so lucky in this day and age.
Yeah.
We have so many access.
I know.
When I was coming up as a cook, you had sea salt, kosher salt.
Kosher
That's
salt,
it.
Yeah.
But now there's so many great salts and
Yeah.
local salts
Right.
available.
Hawaiian
Hawaiian
salt
and
yeah.
your black salts and all kinds of crazy things. So
Right.
whatever you like.
Yep.
You just want to season it evenly, both sides.
Okay.
And then, so the first thing we're going to start though is a little bit of our broth.
Great.
And this is a broth made from the bones of the fish and the trimmings of the mushrooms, and then seasoned with just a little bit of Chinese light soy and a little bit of fish sauce.
Great. And that'll be in the recipe you send
That'll
out.
be in the recipe.
Okay, great.
And this is something that you don't have to eat with this dish. It's a great broth for throw some tofu in there, some veggies. You got great seafood, you know.
And worst case, I mean, you could use just a veggie stock if you
Yes,
wanted,
you could.
or a chicken stock or something like that.
Exactly. You could use water if you wanted
Yeah,
to.
right, exactly.
You know, people often discount water as you know, a lot of times I prefer if I just need a splash of something versus reaching for that pre-made canned broth or box broth from the store. I'll just use a splash of water
in there,
and that'll do the same effect. So, you know, about 8 to 10 ounces of liquid, depending on what you're cooking. And then we're going to start with the vegetables first because they're going to take a little bit longer because we're doing some denser vegetables. So again, one of those things that's deceptively simple, like we talked about. You know, you're just putting everything in one pot and then you're going to cook it.
Right.
But it's really the love and the stuff that goes into the end beforehand that really makes the dish.
There's some prep, like doing that paring knife and getting the dirt off of the turnips.
All those things matter.
Yep.
You know, and for this, I would say 2 to 3 pieces of vegetable per person. So we're looking to serve 3 to 4 people with these, with that big piece of fish. And then even the bok choy goes right in. Even, you know, such a small, light vegetable goes right in. Turnip greens.
Get those in there, Great.
And then we'll add our mushrooms.
And just a few of each.
Just a few of each.
Yeah. Good.
And then what I like to do is with the glass noodles, we kind of nestle them right in the middle of the soup. And I'm going to add a little bit more liquid.
Okay.
Because we're not going to get too much evaporation from this.
Okay.
And it's really the star of the show.
Yeah.
Okay. And that the noodles kind of keep the fish off the bottom of the pot.
Great. Yeah.
Where they're getting the most direct heat, and that'll, you know, you want to really cook the fish gently.
Right, because it's a fish, so you want to be a little bit more careful with that versus maybe a chicken or something.
Yes. Exactly. And then maybe just the last of this broth.
Can you do this with chicken too? If you
absolutely. You could do it with chicken. I would recommend using a thinner cut of chicken so you don't overcook your vegetables.
Right.
But absolutely, you could do it with chicken. But you know, and we do it with chicken all the time with clay pot. So really, what you want to do is you want to wait till this comes to a little bit of a simmer, a hard simmer, and then you're just going to lid that and let it cook 10 to 12 minutes. And you take your little small knife or whatever you have at home. A little neat cook trick is a cake tester, thin piece of metal. That what you're doing is you're going to poke into the fish and just really feel for almost no resistance, and you will feel it. It's very distinct, kind of a
because raw just has a little,
it'll have a little
resistance
in there, and if it just goes in cleanly in and out, then you're ready to go. So while we wait that to come up for a simmer, we'll clean up a little bit.
And when you serve this, is it you just keep it in the clay pot?
Yes. And so the beauty of this, once it's done, and we've added the final kind of flourishes and the aromatics, you just take that off carefully, put it on a little plate that you have that's ready for the table, and you bring it straight to the table, and everyone can help themselves.
And you put a serving spoon or something.
Serving spoon, and it's served with rice. Rice, obviously for that broth, and any other vegetables, or maybe a piece of meat or chicken that you also have at the table.
Yes.
But it could also be centered around this as well. And so what the beauty of this again is that it's one pot cooking.
Yeah.
You could omit half these vegetables and just run to the store and grab a little piece of bok choy and have a little bit of maybe you have some scallions sitting in the fridge you don't know what to do with, and you know you just happen to see a nice head of asparagus. You have those two things, a box of mushrooms that you have to use for a recipe. Right. Pick up a nice piece of fish. You could have food on the table in half
or whatever
an hour.
you see at the farmer's market, right? What is fresh, very seasonal.
Exactly. And so those things are you're like, I don't know what to do with a lot of this. I don't need a ton. But I'll just buy one bunch. Yeah. and then poaching it, cooking it in a clay pot, kind of this technique really allows you to experiment with flavors you wouldn't normally do.
Okay, so it looks like it's simmering a little bit.
It's simmering there. We just came up, and we're just going to put a lid on it and drop the heat down a little bit.
The heat, and that was on to make it simmer. You put it on high, and then you put it down to
like
medium.
A medium. Okay. So this is a commercial range, so you know it's obviously very powerful. But at home, medium, medium, high heat, and then just drop it down to medium, low heat.
Okay, great. And you said 10 to 12 minutes?
Depending on the thickness of your fish.
Okay.
You know, if you have a thinner cut, let's say you went with just a local piece of tilapia that you found, or whatever you had, or the California halibut, which is a thinner piece, it may take 5 or 6 minutes. Okay. Be really, really quick.
Do you have to worry about the vegetables overcooking?
No. You know, if anything, the vegetables might slightly undercook, and which is okay too, because you're going to get that texture. Yeah. But no, I mean, some of these greens, like things like turnip greens and bok choy, they tend to, if you overcook them, they tend to have a creaminess to them. So they kind of change texture. So there's no real wrong or right way. Obviously, at the restaurant, we want a specific texture for the guests. Right. But at home, it's up to you. You're the chef in your kitchen. If you like your vegetables a little more done, leave it in the broth a little longer. Right. When the fish is cooked and you taste the vegetable seems great to you, it's done.
Or if you want your asparagus super crunchy, you can add those a little later if you wanted to.
End, you know, and then just to note with the asparagus, the thing with asparagus with storage, you really want to store it like a flower. You even notice at the grocery stores, they won't just have it in a bin. It'll be sitting in a container upright, and oftentimes there'll be water at the bottom. Interesting. So, and that's something to note when you're shopping for asparagus at the market. I guess it is a stalk, almost a stem. Yes, so, you want to make sure that when you look at the bottom, it's not really dried out, and that your florets are nice and tight. Because when they tend to dry out, the florets open up, and when they dry out, then a lot of it becomes unusable. Okay. It's not a great texture. Right. So you're looking for that fresh quality.
Okay. Yep. And the fresher the better with asparagus,
obviously,
right?
The fresher the better. Yeah. Such a short growing season. If you're supporting someone like the Farmers Market Asparagus, Sacrament Farms, and there's other farmers out there growing asparagus from the Delta, you know, that's what you're looking for. Fresh is best. Such a small season.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess we've got a little bit of time. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about. Keep an eye on your
So once it comes up to the boil, sometimes they'll do that with a lid. You just tilt it over and just let it go. Okay, and maybe adjust the heat a little bit. So tell me a little bit about how you've been weathering kind of the COVID pandemic and how things have been going recently. It's a crazy time. You know, I've been cooking professionally for almost 20 years, and obviously I think none of us in the industry have ever faced anything like this. I will say here in San Ramon, the city center, their protocols, the way they've made their guests feel, our staff, our guests, they've done a bang-up job of really having the right security in place and having the signage and really using best practices to just inform people and helping them make the right decisions. And with the bounce back to the industry, you know, I think people got to see behind the curtain a little bit, and a lot of people weren't really aware of how much the restaurant industry supports your local community. Yeah. You know, we just talked this one dish, we went to 3 different farmers. Right. Yeah. And also a seafood vendor, not to discount the Jared who handmade our plates in Emeryville. Oh, really? Wow. We're so connected into our community, the restaurants that are really trying for that, and then along with our staff who are supporting that live here and work here, and it just impacts all those things, and it impacts our ability to give back to the community in a way as well. So it's been really tough. Obviously, we're in a much better place than we were a year ago, and so we've been really fortunate to have our guests come back, be patient with us. Just because the mandates lifted on Tuesday that we can go from 25% to 50% or indoor or outdoor doesn't mean we just flip a switch and open a door and we can do it. You know, it's much more involved in that with cleaning practices, retraining the staff, bringing the right amount of people on. We've been really fortunate, and this I think speaks to the Fawn family and the culture of all our staff that we've asked to come back to work. They've been able to come back, and that's not the case with it's not. You know, people have had to move away or relocate, or some just have not been fortunate. So we've been really fortunate. That's helped us get back on our feet a little bit, and with us being the newest restaurant it allows us to be open first.
Yeah.
I know a big question out there is when's San Francisco opening and this and that. I know that we're working on that. And that restaurant's been so iconic, and it's just been a machine pumping for years that it's just had time to rest. And I know Charles is in there really renovating it right now and using this opportunity for that. So, you know, we get asked that a lot, but to this day, you and I are having a conversation. We're 3 years in. Obviously, we lost almost a year and months to COVID, but we still have guests. Is this the Slanted Door? You know, like, is this the one that's in San Francisco? Is this part of that? I said, yes. And they still can't believe we're here. They're so excited.
Yeah.
So we're really, that gets us pumped to be able to service a new guest.
Right.
Or new fans of the restaurant that previously had never experienced it.
Right. And as a way, like so fewer people are going into the city these days. So you're really representing Slanted Door out to people who, you know, are not going into the city as much anymore. So
absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, with the Ferry Building being so iconic and the Slanted Door and people know and love so many of the dishes, you know, a large percentage of our menu is, I would say around 60% is those classics like shaking beef and the Dungeness crab and our famous spring rolls, Charles' mom's recipe, and things like that.
Those are wonderful.
But and then, you know, a third of it is, or more is very, very much seasonally directed. Conversation with me and Charles, tastings with the team, seeing what's available at the market. That word market driven, you know, and so it really allows us to play and do something that is some food different. And we also have some cooking equipment here that's different because of the new build out.
Because it's brand new.
Yeah, you know, we have, you know, we're standing next to here. I don't know if you can see this on camera yet, but we have a duck oven where we do a whole roasted duck.
Really? No kidding. Wow.
Smoked.
Oh, wow.
Dry aged for a week.
No kidding.
Smoked.
Wow.
Roasted in a duck oven over cherry wood. And we serve it with all the accoutrement.
Wow.
On the other side of our kitchen, we have a smoker. And Charles, one of Charles's real passions is cooking live fire, smoking food, and we have a charcoal grill and a wood oven and a smoker.
Wonderful.
And so we have all these fun tools, and so it allows us to do some dishes that are outside of the normal family of Slanted Door dishes, and that guests have really come to know and appreciate that are unique to the San Ramon location.
It's great. Does Charles come out here occasionally?
Yes, absolutely. He's out here to, you know, he loves the space every time. He, you know, he's such a design and architect fan. You know, he loves everything from the concrete. The family that poured the concrete is special, and everything about the design. So he's always here, getting to know some of the neighbors, especially during the COVID. And you know, just being here with the team, with us being open. And he's really just, you know, he's super hands-on. So everything in the restaurant, he wants to know about what's happening, and especially with the food. But
playing with the new toys.
Loves to play with the new toys. Loves to, you know, get feedback on dishes we're working on. So it's great to have him here. And that's one of the things that, you know, it's allowed us to kind of refocus as a restaurant and kind of look at operations a little differently as well.
That's great. Should we check it out?
Let's check on our fish. So the top's going to be hot. Let's be careful. But as you can see, look how beautiful that is. We have, you know, the broth is even slightly changed colors just from the fat from the fish coming out. The flavor of the vegetables going into the broth. So we'll check it here.
Okay.
Almost there. I would say maybe just another minute or so. I feel very little. You can feel it yourself. I encourage you to feel it. Like it just kind of slides in, almost no resistance.
Yeah, just a little bit. So
just a little bit. So almost there.
Great.
So I would just say a couple more minutes. And the last thing we're going to do is right before it finishes, we'll pick some herbs.
Oh, good.
And herbs, you know, I encourage everyone to really treat herbs just like a flower. I mean, you want to use them and pick them right away. Oftentimes with stuff like this in the restaurant, we even store it like you would a vase of flowers in a metal container with some water.
Great.
And then just use it right at the last minute. So just a handful of little picked herbs, nothing fancy. Not even going to touch it with a knife. Just going to tear it. And then have a little bit of that onion flavor that we talked about to kind of finish the dish.
Great.
And then just a little bit of our beautiful shallot oil.
No, that's actually oil that you sort of rescue from your fried shallots.
We fry a lot of shallots. Fried shallots are part of the pantry of Vietnamese cuisine. And so because of that, and we only use brand new oil every time we fry it.
Really? Okay. Great.
So we have a lot of the leftover oil. So we save that oil and we use it to finish dishes. We use it in salad dressings. We sneak it into the mayonnaise. for the spring rolls.
Great.
It's kind of omnipresent. It touches a lot of things. And for this dish, because if you notice, halibut is it's a lean fish. It's a very luxurious fish, but it doesn't have a lot of fat.
Yeah.
Most of the dishes we're using have very, very little fat. All the vegetables are fat-free. Just that tiny tablespoon of oil adds just that little bit of layer of richness to the dish that it needs. Good. And I would say, and just right at the end, let those herbs and scallions just kind of heat up. And you really just, it's hard to tell with the mask these days, but just to get a little bit of that aroma from the coriander and from the mushroom broth, right?
Amazing.
Then we just have our serving plate.
Okay. Just put it on there.
We just put it on there.
Great.
And I'll bring it up to the camera here.
Beautiful. Now, it's too bad they don't have the smell function.
I know, because it's just, incredible.
Yeah.
And let's see
and
if we
visually
can
with
grab some...
Do you serve it when it's still kind of...
yes, so at the restaurant, we'll serve it straight off the burner into into the clay pot or whatever we're serving it in, the vessel, and still bubbling. And the server will take off the lid.
Take it off. Great.
And then you just get this hit of aroma, and then you see this beautiful bubbling. And every time you're digging into the dish, you see all these kind of mushrooms and treasures.
It's a new layer, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Let's see. Well, we got to try this.
Let's try it. Let's grab some spoons real quick off camera.
Oh, yeah. Could you go grab a spoon?
And then we will try it.
Yep.
I'll have you try the dish and the broth. And again, the beauty of this is that it just cooked in one pot.
Yeah.
At the end, you have one pot to clean up.
Yes.
And again,
and once you put it on, you're not worrying about adding things.
No, once you get it on, it's just like, you saw us, we're talking, you're looking at it, checking it every now and then, but that's really it. And so that's kind of the beauty of a dish like this. And anything you cook in a clay pot will be like that. And
to serve with it, you'd recommend just rice.
A must-have is rice.
Yeah. Because it absorbs all that broth.
I mean,
flavor, right? Yeah.
Right now everyone is, we have some, everyone's anti-rice or whatever it is.
Right,
but it's such a large staple part of our.
And you don't have to use a lot, just just a little bit.
Just need a few bites.
Touch,
You just need a few bites. Okay. And so that's all it is.
Thank you. There you go. All right.
Here we are. Let's taste our creation.
Okay.
I heard you to break off a little piece of fish.
Okay. Get a little broth in there. Oh yeah, got one. How's that tasting?
I think we did a great job. Oh yeah, I want to double dip in there, but I can't. But you dig in there, you get the asparagus,
and the broth is
it's just so clean, and the fish is really kind of infused into the broth. So,
and even you can taste the pepper. That's
you can taste the pepper, and that's really the beauty of that clay pot. It allowed some evaporation, but it really captured in the aroma and essence of the dish.
And it keeps the seasoning right on there.
Yes.
Well, Chef Choi, thanks. So, before we do, we got to give away the $150 gift certificate. Let's see, use it in Vegas here or San Francisco when it reopens. And Betty M, congratulations.
Congrats,
we'll be good job. We'll be following up via email, and we'll send you the details for collecting that. Chef Choi, thanks so much for joining us and guiding us through this. If you haven't checked this place out, it's just a spectacularly beautiful place, great food, and come support your local restaurants. I'd like to thank the sponsors, Xfinity again. I'd like to thank Harv. I'd like to thank the City Center for hosting us, Harv and the Farmers Market, and all the vendors for sharing their stories. So that's it for this episode of East Bay Eats. Remember to eat out, order ahead, dine often, support your local restaurants, and enjoy. Take care. Thanks again, Chef Choi.
Of course. Thank you.